Hey guys, and welcome back to another video. So today I'm addressing all of those questions about my master's course, why I'm doing it after doing a law degree, and why I'm even doing it if I want to go and do a medicine degree. Why didn't I just go and do the medicine degree straight away? Why am I having a year master's? How I'm going to afford the course, what I'm going to study on the course, where it actually is, and how I decided to choose that course over all the others out there. So that's what this video is about today. So let's just hop right into it. So to talk about the course, so I am doing a MA in medical ethics and law. So it's an MA, a Masters of Arts. It's not an LLM, so it's actually not like a specific law course. Now there is an even split between law and ethics on the course, so it is run through the law department, but it's not like a law master's per se. The course is 12 months long, so it starts in September of this year, 2020, and goes on to the end of August next year. So the course is 12 months, not 9, and that is because the amount of credits you have to do for a master's is much more than, say, a year of undergrad degree. So a typical undergraduate degree is 360 credits, 120 credits each year, and that's pretty much divided by 40 credits a term. Whereas doing a master's is 180 credits over the 12 months, so I'm doing 60 credits sort of in 3 blocks, if you know what I mean. So the extra 3 months of the master's course is for me to do a dissertation, a 60 credit dissertation, and that's another thing. I get to do another dissertation. It's worth 15,000 words, and it is a third of my course to do that. So I'm really looking forward to expanding on my dissertation that I did for my undergrad law degree on the ethics and law of gene editing, and going further with that and adding like more chapters onto it basically. So that's something I'm really looking forward to for this course. Generally, the type of areas that I'm going to study involve like healthcare and medicine, and then the legality of those decisions and the ethics of it. So areas like mental health, mental capacity, children decision making within the healthcare setting, surrogacy, abortion, end of life care, assisted suicide, bioethics, the gene editing side, those type of things, rather than like medical negligence and more of the legal elements to healthcare and stuff. It's much more of the actual decision making and whether there are any considerations around it and what the current law is on those decisions. So to me, that's just much more interesting than the actual like law on it. So another thing that is different for this course is that the course size is a lot smaller. So for my undergrad degree at the University of York, there was about 200 people in each year. So it was quite a big cohort, whereas for my master's, because it's so niche, there's a lot less people on it. So I think the intake was something about 25 or 30, and that is split between the people doing it part-time, the people doing it full-time, and as well as the people doing just the straight medical law side, and then the people like me doing medical law and the ethics. So the people doing my specific full-time medical law and ethics course, there's probably like 15 people on the actual course rather than 200. So it's going to be very interesting for me to be in a cohort with a very few people in it. And another thing about the course, which I don't know how I feel about it yet, but hopefully it will be a good thing, is that the type of people that do this course aren't like my age. So normally when you go to do an undergrad, everyone is pretty much 18 or 19. The oldest person will be in their mid-20s really. So everyone is your age, whereas with masters, unless you go and do an LLM, which is designed for people to go straight onto after they've done the LLB. So the people on my course are typically a lot older, more professional. They've basically either qualified as a doctor or a lawyer or a related discipline. I know somebody's a qualified psychotherapist that is then coming to do my course, and they basically they've qualified in life, and then when they want a bit more knowledge on a certain area, or they want to go for a management position, they come back and do this master's to then help them do that. So a lot of people on my course are like in their late 40s, 50s, and there are very, very few people that are my age. So I don't know how I feel, like whether that's going to be isolating for me, the fact that I will literally probably be the youngest person there. I was one of the youngest people in my undergrad degree year, so I'm probably going to be the youngest person in my master's. But equally, I think it's going to be interesting for me to be able to talk to people who are already qualified and are just coming back to academia, because I can ask them all about their job roles, and especially people who are doctors, I can ask them, what it's like to practice and get insights from them, and that will give me more insights, I think. So I think in the whole will be interesting, but it's going to be intriguing to find out what it's actually going to be like being with people much older than myself. So that brings me on to why I am doing the course and how I chose that course over the others that are available. So I'm doing this course for kind of a multitude of reasons, but essentially because I wanted a year after my degree to go and study still. I wanted to have a new university experience. I still kind of wanted to do law, but I didn't want to do straight law because I knew that if I did an LLM, I would hate it and it just wouldn't be for me. I wanted to do something I was interested in and passionate about. And, you know, medical ethics and the law surrounding medicine is something that I really, really have not done on my undergrad law degree. And I do find it interesting. And I just basically want a year to pursue my interests and to learn new things that are in a discipline that's related to what I want to do as a career. And also another benefit for me doing a master's is that for some medical schools that I want to apply to for graduate medicine, they offer a reduction in the grade that you need for the GAMSAT, which is the entry test, if you have a master's. So they basically knock like 5 marks off, which it doesn't sound like a lot, but when you do the GAMSAT, it's like such a hard test that 5 marks is quite a lot. And honestly, it would be the difference for me of either getting an interview or not. So it's worth me doing a year just to get like a lower offer for a medical school. So this master's isn't exactly like just a year of me like mucking about and doing something that I'm interested in. It also does help me for medical school. And it's also a way for me to be around doctors, be linked with the medical school, learn all of these areas around the ethics of the law of medicine that will then play into me when I'm a doctor, but also be able to meet people on the course who have been in that discipline that will then hopefully give me good connections and enable me to network with these people so I can get work experience and find more about medicine, and hopefully that will help me strengthen up my application. Plus, it enables me to convert my law degree almost into more of a medicine sort of route, because at the moment my fear with the medicine is that they might think you've done law, now you want to do medicine. Why? But if I can show, and which this master's will enable me to show, that okay, I've tailored my end of my law degree with my dissertation and modules that I chose to more medicine related routes, did this master's that then links law with medicine, and now I'm doing the medicine. It can kind of show the progression of my mind and how I have gone from the law into the medicine a bit more. So that is one of the main reasons as well why I want to do this master's course. So why did I choose this course over others? I mean, it's quite a quick answer really, because in this area, as in the medical law ethics type of sphere, there are not many masters that are available in the UK for that topic. So off the top of my head, from what I can remember, there was Queen Mary in London, there was King's College London in London, which obviously I'm going to. There is Bristol, Cardiff, Edinburgh, and that was it. Yes, like five institutions offer my course within the UK. And the one at Cardiff was a 2-year course, and I didn't want to go over 2 years, even though it was cheaper for me to do that. So really there were 4 courses for me left. And I didn't really like the Queen Mary course. I haven't heard good things about it. Not to say that it's a bad uni or anything, it's just specifically for this course, I don't think that was a uni for me. So for me, it was either Bristol, Edinburgh, or King's College London. And I wanted to go to Bristol for my undergrad originally, and then obviously I didn't get in. So I was almost tempted to go to Bristol, but then I also thought, do you know what? Like, the reasons I wanted to go to Bristol when I was 18 aren't the same reasons I want to go to university now for my master's. And on the reflection, I just thought, I don't think the Bristol course is the strongest course out of the Bristol, Edinburgh, and KCL courses. So it really was for me between Edinburgh and King's College London, and then the Edinburgh course was 13,000 a year and the London course was 10,000 a year. So that's pretty much how I decided. And I also thought that I'd much rather be in London for a year, because for me, like, I know people there. I think I always get really good opportunities when I'm in London, and I just love the city. Whereas for Edinburgh, it's somewhere that I've never been, I don't know anyone there, and it's quite far removed from, for me, where I associate with everything happening, which is London and back home and stuff. So London for me just made more sense to be there for a year. And also I do have a bit of a soft spot in my heart for KCL. I remember I went to an open day, and it was like a taster day, I suppose, when I was 17, 16, when I was living in London. It was for music, because at the time I was going to study music at university. But I loved the university. It's just so grand and big. Such a traditional uni, and especially the Strand campus, which is all I've really seen. It reminds me quite a bit of more of the Oxford, Cambridge universities, how it would be on the interior, which is completely different to how the University of York is. The University of York was built in the last 10 years, well, my department was, so it's very new, and I kind of wanted more heritage. I wanted more of that, traditional old school style that you associate with these like old universities, and King's definitely has that. So that's why I decided to go to King's. So finally, talking about the application, what that was like, and also funding this master's, because I know funding and the applications are two things that might put people off applying for a master's. So the application was very short and sweet. It was very painless. They didn't have an interview or anything like that. There was literally just a personal statement, which was about 500 words. And I remember I wrote it in about 45 minutes and was like, bing, done. It wasn't difficult to write. And I did have a fear around the personal statements because when I wrote my personal statement for my undergrad, what the feedback I got from one of the universities, which was Bristol, basically said that like the personal statement wasn't that strong. And then I've had this paranoid like fear about personal statements ever since, because I'm just like, oh, I can't write a personal statement. So I was a bit like stressy about having to write a personal statement for my master's, but my personal advisor, which is your academic supervisor, really helped me a lot with my application. So really, like, it wasn't a big application, and the only other thing I needed for the application other than references and the personal statement was the grade. I needed to achieve a 65 in my second year of uni, which is like a high 2-1, and I had that. So yeah, that's all the application process was really. As I said, there wasn't an interview. It was just a case of doing that application and sending it off. I was encouraged by my academic supervisor to apply early. I wasn't going to originally. I was going to apply at like Christmas, because the applications opened at the end of September and then they closed in March, the end of March, I think, maybe April, around that time. So there's a big window. They also said that it was first come, first served. So they'll give offers, you know, as soon as someone sends in an application that warrants an offer. So I thought, okay, if I apply at Christmas 3 months before, that's enough. And my academic supervisor was like, no, you need to apply like ASAP. So I was working on my application in like November. I submitted it, I think mid-November, around that time. And then I heard back within the first week of December and I got my offer. So it was quite painless, really, the application process. They did say it would take 6 weeks to get back to me, and it took like 2 or 3. So it wasn't that bad. I wasn't that much waiting around. But I do acknowledge as well now, like looking back, I only applied to 1 master's and thankfully I got in. But if I didn't, like, that's a risky move. But the thing is with the master's is why I didn't want to apply to others, like, and I didn't want to apply to say Edinburgh or whatever, is because, well, 1, I couldn't even afford the Edinburgh course, but 2, like, if I overlooked that and just got like a fat loan, it was just a case of every application you send for your master's, you have to pay about £75 for it, so it's quite expensive. Like, for me, that's quite a lot of money to just put on an application if you don't end up going to that university. And it's not like if you go to that university, that money then gets taken off the course or anything like that. Like, it's literally just an application fee. So if you want to apply to like 5 unis like you did for undergrad, it's going to cost like £400 or whatever it is. So yeah, it's not the one really. Whereas at least I remember I moaned about my undergrad fee, and I think it was like, what, £25-30 to do 5 universities, and I was like, God, that's so outrageous. And then got to my master's and I was like, £75 for what? Paperwork? Like, it's one little bit of personal statement, but you know, whatever. Yeah, so that was pretty much the application process. And then I didn't accept my offer until the end of April, maybe May, just because I had to pay £500 like acceptance fee, which then is deducted off your course fees when you start. But I had to pay that when I accepted my offer, and I was like, do you know what, I want that money in my bank for as long as possible. I'm not going to pay that out in December when I can pay it out in like May. So that's what I did. So that brings me nicely onto the final part of this video, which is how am I paying for my master's, which, you know, a lot of people I think worry that they can't afford a master's, and that was one of my main worries, to be honest. But you do get a master's loan from the government. It's gone up quite a bit, so it's about, I think, 11,500, which is like the full whack you can get. And the master's loans aren't determined on your parents' income or anything like that. It's literally just a case of like you get the full sum, if I am correct in saying that. So my course is £9,990, so 10 grand basically. So the fact that the loan is like £1.5 grand over that is good, because I can put that money to like living costs. And then, so basically my course fees itself is paid by the loan, and it's just then my living costs, which in London is expensive. I'm probably looking at easily like 10,000-12,000 for the next 12 months, like easy. So to me that is quite a lot, but then hopefully the money from the rest of the loan I'll put into that pot, and I do have savings, and it's just a case of I have worked pretty much every week for the last 4 years. All those savings are going into my master's really. And also I'm lucky, and this is one of the factors I suppose actually that did influence my decision quite a lot, is that King's have this like it's like a hardship like bursary fund that basically, like, if you're povo like me, that you can apply and you can get up to like 3,500 in like a bursary, so you don't have to pay that back. And to me, when I'm sitting here thinking I've got to pay like 12 grand of what I don't really have, the extra couple grand from the university in a bursary really does help and really made like doing a master's more accessible for me. So yeah, that's pretty much it for my master's. And I suppose a few takeaways from this video, if you're watching this thinking that you might want to do a master's, is that I wouldn't apply to loads of masters unless you have loads of money to burn. I would only apply to masters that you know you have a good chance of getting into and you can put like a lot of commitment into that application, because I think that's why I got in, is that my application was pretty strong, if I do say so myself. My personal statement was pretty strong. I would say that figure out how you're going to finance it and see if the university offers bursaries or anything like that, because it does make it more accessible. And also do a course that you really want to study for a year, because I'm just really excited about having a whole new university experience, going to a new university, getting to do like societies and stuff like that again, being in a new city. For me, that is just really exciting and I really look forward to it. So yeah, that is pretty much the summary of my master's course and why I'm doing it. Let me know if you have any questions about it in the comments below, and I will see you in the next video. I'll see you next week. Bye guys.